Simon Harris live from London, and I'm right here with Australian entrepreneur and music business icon and legend, Chris James. And we are going to be talking about the shock news that happened today that Jeff Bezos of Amazon has now got creative control over the James Bond franchise. I'm not a James Bond expert. I'm a James Bond fan because I've been watching the Bond films for my entire life. But it was quite shocking to me because your first announcement tends to be what the new Bond film is going to be called. It's always about the title. And generally, people hate the title. That hasn't happened, obviously. And secondly, particularly now because Daniel Craig has left, been killed off, I'm sure you know this already, it's who's going to be the next Bond and then how they're going to introduce the next Bond. Well, circumventing all of that today is just the fact that Barbara Broccoli, Cubby Broccoli's daughter, no longer has creative control of the Bond franchise and it's now gone to Amazon. So you're an Amazon fan, Chris, generally?
Yeah, sure.
Are you a Jeff Bezos fan?
Not really a fan of people, but the actual organisation, like Amazon as a brand. For buying.
You only buy from Amazon when you shop?
Yeah, and then watch, obviously, the odd film or series that's on Prime, that comes with Prime if you pay for Prime.
Yeah. I don't think I would subscribe to Prime if I didn't get it for free. It's one of those things, it's like, I get it because I use the shopping service and I get the free delivery and Prime comes along with it.
How they've built the whole video platform up is through that membership. So if they've got
true.
I don't know how many minutes, but just say it's like £100 a year, $100 a year, whatever it is now. If 1 million people are Prime members, which I'm sure there's way more than that, but just on 1 million means they get $100 million or pounds.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Which they can put towards content and go for things. I'm sure. Did it mention anything about how much this franchise cost? Was that?
They bought MGM a while back, didn't they? MGM is through Amazon. So they've had a distribution rights to it.
Okay,
and hence...
so all it is like the family that was originally had. They've given creative control away. They haven't given any more rights away. They've just given. There's
been a dispute. It's been a dispute with Miss Broccoli and her partner, who have controlled it for the last 60 years historically via the Broccoli family, and they haven't done anything. Well, I don't know whether they've done anything, but they certainly haven't made progress that we've known about since the end of the last Bond film to get the new one going. It's just dragged on for years, and I suspect that Mr. Bezos got frustrated and exercised some kind of control and said, a deal has got to be struck, and they just probably got fed up with it and said, that's it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just assuming. You shouldn't assume things, I know. But that is my understanding, and shock to the world that Jeff Bezos and his company retain creative control now, and they haven't done tremendously well with creative control of well-known franchises in the past. The Lord of the Rings franchise went to them, and they made a very, I hate to use the word woke, TV series of Lord of the Rings, very politically correct. And the fears are from the Bond fans, it's going to happen again.
Well, I'm glad I slept through that one. Yeah, I mean, the Lord...
I thought you meant me talking. Okay.
No. When you said woke, I was asleep when that happened.
Yeah.
I guess, so as far as films go, like James Bond technically is or should be right up there with all the big brands.
British, isn't it? It's a British thing. I obviously look at James Bond from a British perspective. I don't know how it's seen from other parts of the world, really.
Yeah. Well, I guess you're not going to get... Yeah, it's a good question, actually. Like, how big is it? Obviously, is it still really big in England, though? I
think yes, it is. It's always been big amongst fans, and they generally, whenever a new James Bond film comes out, my experience of it is it's an event. They have a huge thing at the Royal Albert Hall or some place like that. It's generally the Royal Albert Hall these days. And when people go to see the new James Bond film, it's one of the... You tend to get people who don't even go to the cinema, haven't been to the cinema for years. They will go for a Bond film, and they'll not only go, but they'll go to a West End cinema like the Odeon, and they go for a meal first, and they take their friends, and it's groups of males generally. They're going to see the new Bond film, It's a big thing, it's a big thing. So I hope Bezos doesn't misunderstand that and make it debut on Amazon Prime or something, because he'll screw the whole thing up if that happens. It's got to be cinemas only.
Yeah, first release. I haven't actually gone and seen a movie in a movie theater for quite a long time. I don't even know.
What was the last one you saw?
So I'm trying to work out the Civil War thing.
Oh, yeah, okay, I saw that. That was good. That was a good cinema experience, I thought.
That's what I'm saying. Like something like Civil War, I would have totally maybe even given up on watching if it was at home.
Yeah,
But in the
definitely.
movie theater, you kind of like
It's got to be loud and shocking, isn't it? Kind of thing. You know,
yeah, because
those bullets.
it doesn't really kind of get really good until over halfway or something. Like there's a couple of key scenes that
It
don't.
did
Happen.
start. I agree. It
Very,
did
very
start
late.
off a bit slow, didn't it?
If someone watched Civil War after it came out in the movie theater, I bet you a load of them only got to about 30-40% of the way through and said this is
Possibly.
rubbish. You had to get all the way through to these key scenes. Once you got through the key scenes, then it was all good. Like the ending was a little bit OTT, but no more OTT than some films.
Did you see any of the Bond films in the cinema?
I've seen most of them in the movie theater. I mean,
Back to the Roger Moore ones, all of those.
so I know that my dad, my brother, and I think I don't know if it's the first time. I don't think it was the first time. No, it definitely wasn't the first time we knew who James Bond was. But that was the first movie. The Spy Who Loved Me, Roger Moore, was the first movie theater that we saw.
Yeah.
Ones earlier with Sean Connery and stuff would have been like at my aunt's house or something like that, like around Christmas, Boxing Day, and it would be on.
Yeah, because that was a thing as well, wasn't it? Is they were always the ones that were on TV at Christmas. It was like the Christmas Day movie, pre-VHS, pre-video.
Yeah. So that's what James Bond was in England. It was a Christmas Day, Boxing Day, whatever English thing.
Special thing for English people.
I don't know what they did around the world, but back then was a different time because you didn't even have videotapes.
That's a very important point, that you didn't have video, so you went to the cinema and it was an event, or it was on Christmas Day or something.
Yeah, so James Bond was probably really big back then around the world because you could only see these things in a movie theater.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
I don't think, like I say, I haven't watched the last James Bond. That's why we're doing a podcast about it, because I'm an expert. I haven't watched the last one from what you told me, and I guess I
hated it.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably why I didn't watch it or something, just because of what you said.
It was very what you call woke.
Yeah, this is another thing. Well, the woke thing is going.
It was very kind of him with it's about his relationship and the woman, the girl that seemed to be his daughter, but they never actually admitted that it was the daughter, and in the end they were a family driving around chasing after the villains with the daughter in the back, and it's like, what is going on here? It was all, and you can see he was worried about protecting his family. It's like, this isn't James Bond. This is something else. It's some new thing.
All the James Bond thing is he hasn't got anything to worry about, has he? He's just
That's true. Yeah,
going around shooting and meeting women, drinking and going to bars and all that around the world at all the top locations. So he hasn't got any worries. So yeah, if it went all out like that, and you've got a potential wife and then you've got a potential daughter and stuff, then
and then in the end he killed himself for them for no reason. Which I think it's fine, the spoiler, like 3 years later. Because it's like 3 years ago, the film now. So, yeah, what the hell. I was very annoyed at the end. I was like, you have got to be kidding, when it ended like that. And the previous one to that, Spectre, again, I was very annoyed in the cinema when it ended. I was like, what the hell? And then this one's, they can't make it any worse. And they did,
I think, we've talked about past brands in the past, like, what was the one like Daffy Duck and all the
Warner Brothers, yeah.
Looney Tunes. This is the same place. You're saying Warner Brothers, Amazon, Warner. They haven't been able to do anything with all the best cartoons in the world.
Flintstones, Hong Kong Phooey. There was so many.
Was the best cartoon. Captain Caveman.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
All these ones
Top Cat.
Yeah, Top Cat, man, it's absolutely massive. Those were huge, and they never really
never followed up. Yeah,
it's almost like they're not even a number 2 to Disney. It's almost like they've just disappeared. They didn't do like Looney Tune babies, like Muppet Babies and stuff.
I think so, yeah, but they've never quite got it right, have they? I mean, the Warner Brothers seem to screw up on their franchises. Batman and Superman, the thing's constantly changing. They're constantly getting it wrong. The Joker, they screwed up as well.
Warner Brothers Joker.
Yeah,
is it?
Yes, yeah.
I mean, the Joker, like
DC Comics.
I'm not even a fan of like Batman and all that comic stuff, but Joker, was 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 that film, and on the same year, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Those two films were my
That was a
two
very good film.
films
I
of the
like
year,
that.
whatever year that was.
Yeah.
They were my two favorite films, and I would watch those, both of those. You know, if it was on or I wanted to watch it, I would watch it like, you know, like a Godfather movie. I would
Yeah.
watch those too. Like James Bond, I don't think there's any James Bond film that I want to watch more than once, but it is a going to a movie thing, and you know that when you sit down, there's a chase, isn't there? Like some guy starts running. And there's a
You got
chase.
the chase, you got the gadgets, you've got the theme song.
Oh, the car.
Then you've got the annoyance over they pick to do the theme song.
Yeah, the
You know,
theme
like
song
Sam
and
Smith or
blood
somebody like that. Billie Eilish.
from
Oh
down the
my
screen.
God, why?
The Billie Eilish song I thought was really good.
Yeah,
I thought it was really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
What do you think? So what do you think the best James Bond theme tune is?
Best James Bond theme tune was Goldfinger, of course.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that's a Shirley Bassey thing.
Yeah,
right?
and then you've got Diamonds Are Forever. There's some great James Bond, you know, and the
Who sang
the
Spy Who Loved
music.
Me? Was that a Sheena Easton thing? Who did
The Spy Who Loved Me.
Sheena Easton did one, didn't she?
No, it's Carly Simon. Nobody Does It Better was The Spy Who Loved Me.
Oh, that's a wicked song, that is.
Amazing song. And then, of course, Paul McCartney, Live and Let Die was the other great one.
But Sheena Easton did a theme tune, sung one, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know which one that was. But the Carly Simon Spy Who Loved Me, what was that song?
Nobody Does It Better.
Yeah, that's wicked.
This was one of the all-time greats.
Yeah, that's the one I would choose.
Yeah. The two best ones, actually, I said Goldfinger. Goldfinger's a very well-known one by Cilla Black, of course.
It wasn't by Cilla Black, was it? You just made that up.
No, I did this video, one of my disinformation videos, and I said that it was... I just said it was Cilla Black or Lulu or something, and people were complaining. It's not. It was Shirley Bassey, you idiot. And Shirley Bassey did Diamonds Are Forever as well. Diamonds Are Forever was also a good one.
I remember, so James Bond, I remember that, I don't know what, you'll probably know what film it is. I remember at the time when I was a kid and I saw it, it was like, you know, something from a film or a TV show, you then, like a saying that just stands out, and then you kind of use
Mr. Bond.
Yeah, something like that, and you use it with friends, and you kind of think like you're funny saying it and stuff. The one that I remember was, I think it was the one, don't say what the film was, but it was the one where there's a funeral and it's all kind of morbid and stuff, and then I think it's in New Orleans, and then they all start, the casket closes, or what happens in that?
That was Live and Let Die. That was the first Roger Moore film.
Do they actually put someone in there and then they all celebrate, or do they? There's a little twist, isn't there, on that funeral bit?
I can't remember.
Anyway, I think it's from that film, and
remember
then
everything.
I don't know if he said. Oh, all I just remember is it's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be a beautiful day.
Yeah.
I think that's in that film.
It was a very good film, Live and Let Die, but it had the most ridiculous death scene of a villain. It was Yaphet Kotto who played Kananga, and Yaphet Kotto was also in your father's favourite film with Robert De Niro, that Midnight Run. He was Alonzo.
Oh, he was Alonzo Mosley.
Alonzo Mosley. FBI agent Alonzo Mosley was also Dr. Kananga from Live and Let Die, who was the villain. And the death scene was so ridiculous that he ended up getting blown up by compressed air, and then someone popped him. He went up like a balloon and blew himself up like a balloon. It was like ridiculous, most ridiculous death scene.
He just exploded, kind of thing.
Yeah, he exploded. He went pop. Exactly. I
think Alonzo Mosley's number one.
It was a great film. It was a great film.
Midnight Run, absolutely wicked film.
With Charles Grodin as well.
Yeah.
So what was the first James Bond film that you remember seeing at the cinema?
Yeah, it was Spy Who Loved Me.
Spy Who Loved Me, yeah.
Yeah, that had the song. Also, like, Roger Moore, like, as a kid, like... So
Roger Moore.
Exactly, the whole Roger Moore. Was he after Sean Connery?
Yes.
So Roger Moore...
Sean Connery came back. Sean Connery didn't do it for one film, Her Majesty's Secret Service, then he came back for Diamonds Are Forever, and then Roger Moore took over because he was very popular on TV.
Okay. Yeah, with like The Saint, Simon Templar.
Saint, yeah.
So Roger Moore, with the Roger
Moore.
Always kind of... he added the slapstick kind of humour in the... time era,
like the irreverent kind of
And also, I remember the car that went underwater. He had the
Lotus Esprit, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was Mr. Stromberg, wasn't it?
Stromberg.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
But Jaws was in that, right? Because that was a standout character.
That was the first film with Jaws. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And Jaws was this 7'2", 7 foot plus guy with big braces, so they called him Jaws.
Richard Keel. Yes.
Would he bite? He would bite people, right, with his mouth.
He did. Yeah, he had a. There was a very good fight scene on a train, and
On top of the train.
James Bond broke the electric vase and put it on his teeth.
Oh yeah.
And then he came back and he reappeared in Moonraker as a henchman for Hugo Drax, who was the villain.
I don't think I've ever seen Moonraker.
It's kind of comedy Bond
Was Jaws
film.
in space? Was it Jaws in space? Literally, like was Jaws?
It was
floating
Jaws in space, yeah. It was, yeah. I know we say that, but it was Jaws in space, exactly. A lot of iconic moments and different, phrases and sound bites from Moonraker that were very well known. That was good. I remember going to see that at the cinema, going to see Moonraker at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
I never heard. Oh yeah, I just went to cinema yesterday. Went down to Hackney, North Hackney Empire.
Yeah, I've always regarded it as a kind of special thing. Whenever it's a special film, I would rather go and see it somewhere in the West End.
So if it was in Leicester Square, for people in America, that's pretty much like the Chinese movie theater in Hollywood.
Yeah. It's where they have the premieres and stuff, the red carpet events, and they tend to have they've always had the biggest screens there until IMAX came along and kind of changed that a little bit.
Yes, I did see a James Bond film on IMAX. I'm not a fan of IMAX.
Yeah, I know, you said, yeah.
The reason being because it's not full envelope. It's like more of a box shape. And to do IMAX,
yes, I agree.
Cut off the ends. And they probably have...
Well...
Maybe not. But it does...
Or do they provide more information on the top and bottom? That's the thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It could have a bit of that, but it could also have the full length as well. But IMAX, you definitely have to be like literally right on the back row to see it all.
Yeah, you can't be too close. Although I do seem to remember going to see Dark Knight with you and you enjoyed it at the IMAX.
Yeah. Well, that was a good film, though.
Very good film.
So it wasn't like boring, and I wasn't like looking around the screen because
those three Batman films were very good. Yeah, the Christopher Nolan ones. And the rumor was for a while that Christopher Nolan would do a James Bond film, that maybe he will do the next one. But I can't see it now. I can't see Christopher Nolan working for Jeff Bezos.
With this whole creative control thing, it's like it's all like, well, it's not up for debate. It's like whoever's going to be in charge of doing it and making decisions.
Who's got the money? Who pulls the purse strings?
Well, obviously, there's going to be all money involved and getting actors, and everyone's going to want to pay a lot of money. But the next James Bond film through this franchise could be massive. Could be like a Joker film. Could be like huge that year. Could win Academy Awards and everything.
Never say never. It's true. Yeah.
It could be like the Joker 2. Which was a big failure, and they turn into a musical for some reason. I don't know. Like if they start dancing and prancing around on James Bond film, then and go the Mary Poppins.
Oh well, that would destroy it completely. But it's more a question of whether it's going to be using the word woke again, whether they're going to succumb to wokeness.
No, I don't think. I think no, because
or not, or whether they're going to keep it real, kind of stuff.
That was just a movement, just to maybe put bed to everything, and now everyone's fine with everything. Now
there's a backlash, isn't there, against anything like
now
that?
It's against that, but only hardcore against it are against it and going, yeah, like I'm glad I'm against it. But the
DEI, yeah.
Now, yeah, it's like now EDM. There's 3 initials.
Yeah.
That covers everything. DEI.
007 DEI. USA.
FBI.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I'm going to think. Because nothing's happened yet, I'm going to think very positive that really good things are going to come from it. A bit like Formula One.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully.
I was saying before we were recording, is like Formula One was, all the rights and everything.
Do you like the Mission Impossible films?
You know what? I haven't even watched any of them.
Oh, okay. All right.
And there's like 5 or 6 of them or something, aren't there?
Yeah, I think we're up to 7 now. I think
the
latest one is going to be in a couple of months' time.
So Tom Cruise, I've never really wanted. It's like Tom Cruise. If it's like a Tom Cruise movie, I'm not going, I've got to watch that. All I remember Tom Cruise was, I can't remember the film now, when he was really young. He met like a young brute. Rain Man was a good film, but I think I watched that just because everyone said it was good.
Didn't you went to see Top Gun Maverick after I told you, and then you...
No, I refused.
You pushed back against it for a long time, and then you eventually saw it, didn't you?
Yeah. I think I bought it on Apple like 2 years later and stuff, because I didn't think it was going to be the first one. I thought it was just going to be over the top. Now, parts of it were over the top, But you know what? The Maverick film was very, very good. You'd have to probably give it, as far as every movie made and all this kind of stuff, you have to put Maverick. It has to be a 10 out of 10 film because there are so many.
So it is up there. Yeah, yeah.
You can't give Maverick 9 because of the amount of stuff they did. The story was good, the characters were good, the action was good. Like if they wanted to do an like goosebump kind of moment, they just did it all right with the music and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently,
USA and the fact it wasn't CGI, it was all real and,
yeah,
with the real jets and everything. It was very, very good. It was Jerry Bruckheimer.
Okay, yeah. Now he's done the Formula One, the F1 movie. Which
He's one of the all-time greats, Jerry Bruckheimer.
So they're saying they're doing this. This is like Maverick on the ground, with F1 cars, and they're showing the speed and going like 10 times more over the top on making it all wicked, and it's going to. They say the action's even better than Maverick.
See, the thing I like about Tom Cruise is he has very good attention to detail all the way through the chain of making the film, right the way up to even how they serve the popcorn at the cinemas. The fact he even did like a promotion thing, make sure you buy popcorn at the cinemas because it's the only way they can make the money,
Yeah, I remember that.
And all of that.
He when the Super Bowl was on, there was very little I remembered on the Super Bowl. They were saying like if you do a voiceover and you want to know who it is, like show the person at the beginning, maybe the middle and end, and but his voiceover on whatever the Super Bowl was and whatever the history of the Super Bowl and being an American and all that was absolutely wicked.
Well, the only reason I asked you about Mission Impossible is that I think the Mission Impossible series are the closest thing, certainly American closest thing to the James Bond series. It's got the music that you recognise. It's got the character all the way through, the gadgets and the action. It's America's version of the James Bond franchise.
I probably didn't see it because I am a big fan back in the day of the Pink Panther films. Really,
they were very good as well.
And the Diamond Stealer guy didn't. In one of the Pink Panthers, they come from the ceiling. They lower themselves from the ceiling to steal.
Yeah.
Maybe I should watch them. If there's 5 or 6 of them, maybe they're all good. Maybe
I think you'll find any one of them are good. But they got really good kind of in the middle. Like the first couple were like pretty good, but they're a bit dated now. But then in the middle, when he's up on the tower in Dubai, and it's all glamorous locations, like it's all very clever, and there's lots of surveillance and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so when you're mentioning Dubai, like think how popular now, like Abu Dhabi, Dubai, Saudi Arabia, and all that is now.
Yeah.
The Red Bull guys and jumping out of the airplanes with the islands and the palms and all this kind of stuff. Maybe, Mission Impossible, it wouldn't surprise me if I reckon they probably put a lot of money into those films so that they recorded those at those locations. That was the reason, showing like how big these skyscrapers were compared to like New York and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And more modern kind of style. When was the last Mission Impossible?
It was not last year, the year before, and it was split into 2. Everything was big like a James Bond film.
2 parts.
All the big, very glamorous locations and everything. And then the last one ended on a cliffhanger halfway through the story. And it's one of those things where you go, they're not going to end it here. They can't end it here. And they have. And it's like, I'm going to have to wait like 2 years for the next film.
And
that's coming up.
Part 2?
That's the part, we're about to see the part 2. And they're saying it's going to be the final one. It's going to be the big finale of the Mission Impossible films. So it's going to be a good one for me go see it at the IMAX.
What about
for me to see.
Cliffhanger right at the end? It opens on the cliffhanger, then it kind of fades, and then someone's in bed and eyes open, and it's the new James Bond. That's
what they'll do. They'll announce that the new James Bond is going to be Tom Cruise.
It's going to be advertised in Mission Impossible.
Or they could say that the new James Bond is going to be an AI Sean Connery. Or a deep fake Roger Moore.
Deep fake. They could do the deep fake Tom Cruise that is popular.
Yeah.
TikTok and stuff.
Well, he's getting old now, isn't he? I mean, he's 64 now, so.
Yeah. That's got to be why it's his last film. He's not going to be able to be jumping out of airplanes anymore, really.
And it looks silly after a while. I mean, on some of those with Roger Moore, he would look too old. They were talking about Idris Elba. I know you're a fan of Idris Elba. I've got nothing.
It's only because Luther was such a good film. A good series, drama series.
I mean, I've got nothing against him. I just think he's too old.
He's too old now. Like he needed to be James Bond 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But if if they can kill James Bond really easily, and then you think he's dead, like you could just shoot him at the end and he can die, and then someone else can take over. Maybe you can do one.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to him being James Bond because he is really, really good actor.
Well, you know who my choice is? My choice of James Bond, aside from me, would be. You've seen the TV series Happy Valley with Sarah Lancashire. The bad guy in that, Tommy Lee Royce, is played by James Norton.
Yeah, he could be a good James Bond.
I think he could make the best James Bond. And people talk about Henry Cavill, but I think he would be better.
No, Henry Cavill, is that the Superman guy?
Yeah, I don't think he would work as Bond.
You can't be Superman and James Bond. That's not going to happen.
Well, he's not Superman anymore. He's been sacked. He got fired. Get out of here, Superman. They wanted to take it into a different direction, and Warner Brothers have got a new Superman movie coming out next year.
Superman, isn't it like every 15 years they do the same Superman film every time, like how he arrives in Earth?
They used to do that with Batman, didn't they? An origin story every single time.
Every time. The new Superman can't be like that again, surely. But maybe they just do it for
No, I don't think they are. I think they're going to do it a bit differently. I think that he's going to be younger. That's why they haven't used Henry Cavill, because they're going younger than him. To me, it looks like it's going to be a romantic film about him and Lois. So I don't know. We'll see. I'll try and be open-minded about it.
Isn't like being Superman, being Lois. I don't know if it's just those two, Christopher Reeve and the lady who played Lois, because didn't they both died in not very good circumstances?
Yeah. She had a lot of mental health problems.
Has that happened with another one?
I can't remember her name now. Madeline, somebody.
Yeah.
But Christopher Reeve had an accident, as we know.
He just fell off a horse.
Accident. Yeah, horse accident. Awful.
Yeah. Hence why I don't go on horses.
Yeah. I don't do horses. I don't go down potholes. You know, the tunneling that these people do into the caves. Don't do the cave thing. Why do people do that? I don't want to jump off of bungee jumping.
Parachuting, skydiving.
Don't do any of it.
Jumping out of space. Will you jump out of space?
Jump out of space? What does that mean?
You're still in the Earth's atmosphere, aren't you? Where you could jump and then fall. What that Red Bull guy did. He was like really high.
I don't feel the need to do any of those things. I'll watch other people do them. This is exciting enough for me.
Well, that's the great thing. Full circle. That's the great thing about these movies. You can watch it without doing all the crazy stuff.
That is a good full circle thing to say. Definitely. Yeah. All right, we're going to have to wait and see what happens with the James Bond franchise now. Anything could happen. As far as I'm concerned, it was dead a few years ago. I think there's a few things I should finish. Sorry, carry on.
Could it be this? And the new Bond is Janice Bond.
Who?
Janice Bond.
Who's Janice?
That's a female.
Jada Pinkett.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Jada Pinkett could be the new James Bond.
James Bond. Could it be a female Bond? Do you think that could happen?
They've kind of. I think that. Come on. I think they'd have too much of a backlash, and it's been ruled out here and there. Might be a diverse Bond. We could see that could be a non-white Bond, possibly. Bond hasn't always been English. You know, you've had an Australian Bond, and we've had Irish Bond, Piers Brosnan, a Scottish Bond with Sean Connery. They don't change their
accents either, do they?
No, they don't. They
don't have to do a proper oh, James Bond.
The most underrated Bond is Timothy Dalton, without doubt. He was very, very good.
But you think he was underrated?
Underrated. People don't really talk about him, but he was a really good Bond, I think.
Did he only do a couple or something, and that's maybe why? Maybe he did
two.
A long enough run. Yeah, he did two. A long enough run.
You know what?
I think Piers Brosnan, he got really lucky, I think. Maybe they just I don't know who else he was against, but Piers Brosnan did a Roger Moore style, didn't he? He tried to put humour in it. And then Dalton was more Sean Connery, a bit more serious.
I think it ended up like that. My theory is that the best of these James Bond films, whenever they get a new actor, is their first film. And then after that, they kind of struggle to top that. They're always good, the first ones. If you think about it, Dr. No was amazing. And then Live and Let Die was amazing. And Timothy Dalton's first one was amazing. GoldenEye was amazing with Pierce Brosnan. And then Daniel Craig, Casino Royale was amazing. They all get progressively worse after that.
All right.
Although Sean Connery had some of the best run, I think. He had, you know, with Goldfinger and From Russia with Love.
We're born up through that time. Right. Yeah. Now, if you're a kid, it's like you're watching someone on TikTok. That's your star. So like, how does a James Bond or a super person
Good point. How
even
does it all
stand
fit
up
in? How does it
in this
fit in
new
with...
generation? Even like Superman, Spider-Man, is that really going to be a thing in like 5 years?
And with the short attention span, this is the thing as well.
Yeah. What, you want me to sit on a seat and watch a chase for 15 minutes when I can watch like the best crash in 2 seconds on TikTok?
A lot of this, I think, is marketing BS. I mean, we had two, I thought, very subpar films the year before last with Oppenheimer and Barbie that were given such hype, such ridiculous hype. You look back on them now, and they're not good films, you know. But they were selling out every seat in the cinema, weren't they, for months?
Yeah, I don't know what year that was, but the Oppenheimer thing, I think they either got lucky or someone like did something to make them battle. Like it was like they're battling against each other. But the only real thing that people wanted to see was, you know, women and their daughters to see Barbie. That's why that was massive. And like Mattel owned Barbie, and as a success for their brand, was absolutely massive.
And they were completely polar opposite films to each other. That was the other thing.
Yeah.
Nuclear War and Barbie is like, excuse me.
Maybe
How can you get any further apart?
That's why I think, like, on maybe saying like a political thing, like sometimes the opponents are so opposite. So you've got to go for this one or this one. Maybe that's. I think whoever did the branding and marketing on Oppenheimer had to be amazing. Had to be given an award for that.
They had to say, yeah, because instead of saying, you know, we've got to try and avoid Barbie, we've got to say, no, we've got to somehow make use of it.
Up against it, yeah.
Yeah, like a fight, like a UFC fight or something.
Yeah.
You know, these two
nuclear warhead
films
against the little doll.
Yeah. And that was the year that Tom Cruise was very upset because he'd put an awful lot of work into his Mission Impossible film and he couldn't get the slots at the IMAX cinemas because they were giving it all to Oppenheimer. And he made this movie that he spent years on and was very happy with, and he could only get 1 week run in the IMAX cinemas. And it's not enough to, you know, be a success.
Was it, you know, like was when you had these leaked audio tapes of like actors or directors shouting at people and stuff, was Tom Cruise one of them?
Yeah.
And they all had to wear the mask and stuff, and he was all shouting at them and everything.
He did that, yeah. He gets very passionate about things, being the boss on the set and everything. Yeah. Everything's got to go perfectly. Everybody's got to do everything. Which I suppose he's got very, very high standards if you consider that.
He's probably one of the only actors who's got like almost like the full power of the studio.
Yeah.
Like he is the studio. Like the agreement is, you let me do this movie, I call all the shots.
He saved the cinema industry with Top Gun Maverick after the pandemic because he got people out and back in the cinemas again. And then they disrespected him. They dissed him, man, by not giving him more than a 1 week run for his Mission Impossible film because of this Oppenheimer, which really turned out to be BS.
I know this is about more James Bond than Tom Cruise and stuff, but also he hasn't won an Academy Award as far as I know.
Could be right about that, yeah. I think maybe he was nominated for Rain Man, possibly. I could be wrong about that.
Maybe he hasn't won an Academy Award as an actor, but the films he's been in, I think, are
But he is Mr. Box Office, though, isn't he? He is box office gold.
I even pass like just small shops and wonder how they survive. Going past like movie theaters.
Yeah.
And I know they're a lot more expensive now, but like, how do they? But you know what? Like,
popcorn. It's that bad. It's that bad for them.
That's what Tom Cruise says. Like,
you
got to buy popcorn to make the movie theaters survive. It is a better experience, but like, if you go at night time, everyone's making a racket and chewing crisps and popcorn.
We've discussed this before. This is the crazy experiences. I mean, I go in the morning, like the first showing of the day.
I've told people to shut up in movie theaters. You know, like,
you get shot for that in America. I wouldn't do that.
300 people just all stay quiet. Everyone's so tough, but when it comes to just telling one person to fucking shut up in a movie theater.
I think I was telling you about that time. It was when I was in Orlando at the IMAX that there was a guy standing to the right, and he was a rather large guy, and he had this massive family-sized box of popcorn, and he's standing there stuffing it. And it's like, why did I come this time of the day? I can't remember what that was. It was probably a Star Wars movie. Anyway,
The best time to go, yeah, is the morning, like first performance. You know, if you
I
like a
never go
9
the
till
same week
5.
it opens as well. I always wait until the last thing. When I saw Top Gun Maverick, I went to the very last performance before it was removed from the cinema. The last one, the last performance in Leicester Square at the IMAX.
Yeah. If you go in the morning,
I'm
like
not proud of that.
my theory is, if you go in the morning, who is crazy enough to go in the morning?
Simon Harris and I
Me,
from London.
I'll go. But you
Yeah.
might get one or two that go at that time, and I'm wondering if there's
Well,
been.
Oppenheimer was even sold out in the mornings, and they ran them at 8:30 in the morning and stuff like that, and they were all sold out. It's like
Oppenheimer was.
Oppenheimer. I don't know how they did it, but I kept checking the IMAX Waterloo and the other IMAX, and it was on 3 IMAXs, and they was all sold out all the time. Every performance, as soon as the tickets went on sale, it was just such hype for that stupid film, honestly. And Mission Impossible was such a better film. It's not even funny, and couldn't see it.
It's
What
not
can you
even
do?
funny.
Not even funny. Anyway, all right. So I think we've taken this as far as we can take it now. I think we're going to be, otherwise we're going to have our own Bond franchise based on us talking about
It's all going to be down to the creative, the story, and how they brand James Bond.
the story. That's a good point. Yeah, it is.
At the end of the day, the story has to be there, and you have to care for the character or characters. And with a movie, it's really hard because you've only got like 90 minutes to 55 hours, like some movies.
Mm.
You've got to, if you look back at all the big films, you're going to care for the character.
Simon Harris would take this in one or two directions for the new James Bond film. It would be either take it back to the 60s and set it in the 60s again, or set it in current times, but make it a serious film all about the world order collapsing. Actually do a really serious James Bond film politically, with Bond trying to stop World War III or something. So one of those two would be my choice.
I don't think people need to do World War III type stuff. I mean, I like your pitch for the going back to the 60s and that look and blah, blah, blah. I like
Let's
that.
go for that one then, and let's do that one.
We'll do that one. We'll go for that one.
We've decided on that one. We're gonna remake. Like the Crown had an authentic like 1950s.
Yeah.
And the scenes of London in the 60s were really cool.
Yeah, they went through decades. Yeah.
They could do that with that, just make it a serious spy film set in the 60s, but it's James Bond, but made with the technology and standards that we've got today, and have that guy in it. And just go back to basics with Bond,
Yeah, because the problem now and moving forward, and you got AI and robots and stuff, it starts getting a little bit over the top.
There's no limit, yeah.
It's like James Bond meets Battlestar Galactica meets Star Wars, and it's going to go crazy. But if you go back to I would say anything before 2001, where things went digital, and before 9/11, it was like 90s, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s.
And retro is always kind of like interesting to look at. And you see Mad Men, shows like Mad Men, isn't it? It's kind of got a wicked kind of vibe to it, isn't it, if you do that kind of stuff?
And a lot of popular dramas on Netflix and Prime and all this kind of stuff they're called period pieces, aren't they, as a movie? Like something like Mr. Selfridge or something like that.
That was good as well, yeah.
That was good, and that was like going way back.
Yeah.
How far back that goes.
I bet you anything they're going to have a movie, and then there's going to be some kind of Bond TV series, isn't there? There needs to be. I think it would be good, a James Bond TV series.
Maybe it'd be like Spy Kids, where he's got a whole bunch of kids and he teaches them all to be like
Bond babies. Yeah.
Like your favourite film? What's your favourite film with baby in the title? Was there like some like Smart Baby or something?
Boss Baby, wasn't it?
Baby, yeah. I've never seen it. I just saw little. I knew that you thought it was really crap or the branding and hated it. I used to always like text you or email you pictures of Boss Baby and stuff.
Yeah, we said we'll have Bond Baby.
Yeah, Bond Baby.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, thank you very much. We will for joining us on the Battle Report, Chris. We will see where this leads us, and hopefully we're going to get an announcement of who the next James Bond is going to be sooner rather than later, and this momentum carries on, because the worst thing that would happen is if it all gets forgotten about for another 2 years. Let's hope something comes of it, and we're all going to see a James Bond film in 2 years' time.
It'd be amazing if it's in 2 years. You might need 3, but they got to move quick.
Yeah.
If they've done the deal, you've got creative control. You've got to jump on it. Start getting things.
They must have people who are like itching to do it and getting ready to do pitch meetings and stuff. So hopefully it'll be good. Let's hope it's not, as they say, woke.
It's like a story, director, and who's James Bond. Those are the main three. Because and everything else can follow underneath that. You know, the Bond women, the music, all that kind of stuff follows. So it's really three things: good story, amazing director, amazing actor.
Yeah.
And
well, it's got the whole history, the legacy.
Yeah, and it is James Bond. It's centered around one character. So that is how important is that character? If they choose the wrong person and people don't like him, then it's that.
No Time to Die, and then they kill him at the end. It's like, oh, and the way they killed him was just like he didn't need to die. Didn't, you know?
Now, is that the film that Billie Eilish did the theme tune to? Because the Billie Eilish one, she did the record, the Grammy performance and all that, and like that was delayed all the way through the pandemic and everything, and like that Bond film was delayed for like 2-3 years.
Yeah, it was that one.
So probably this is the reason, with everyone involved and the family and people like now being 5 years older with the actors, all this kind of stuff.
Something had to happen, didn't it?
There's a lot to sort out with this Bond thing. I'll leave it on this famous quote: "They can't mess it up."
Well, if they do, it's not the end of the world.